Hi, this tutorial is on how AMPro handles corrective and scheduled maintenance. First, I should make sure that we all have the same definition of corrective and scheduled maintenance. As far as the aircraft maintenance program is concerned, scheduled maintenance is defined as maintenance that is done periodically on a scheduled basis, and corrective maintenance is maintenance that is performed because something quit functioning. Scheduled maintenance is programmed into AMPro to be completed every predetermined number of months or hours. The program can track multiple items of scheduled maintenance, and it will order the report such that the items that need the maintenance first are at the top of the list. Scheduled maintenance includes things like oil changes, air filter changes. Corrective maintenance is simply entered as a logbook entry, and the recurring need for the maintenance is not known. Corrective maintenance includes things like replacement of broken windows, perhaps replacement of tires. So to get into the maintenance reports, we click maintenance, and scheduled maintenance. We'll examine that first. This shows the working screen for scheduled maintenance. Notice that we have two maintenance items entered for scheduled maintenance tracking on this aircraft, including item 1, which is an oil change, and item 2, which is an air filter change. These are shown in the first column right here. The second and third columns each show the tack time and the date at which these items were most recently serviced. And then the third column shows the number of hours or the date at which we expect the service to be due again. Up here at the top, we can see that the current tack time is shown. So that gives you orientation about how long it will be before you need to do those, service those. Now over here on the left-hand side is a view that you can select. It shows how you want to really examine the data. First of all, we can look at every scheduled maintenance item, or we could look at the scheduled maintenance just for the airframe, or we could look at the scheduled maintenance items just for the engine. And each of the components that is entered in the equipment list will be shown down here. So let's go back to looking at all of them. The other thing that you can see is currently we're looking at the next due. You could also look at historical. So you can see that now we have air filter replacements going back to 2006, and it shows every one. So you'll see repetitive air filter changes, whereas in the other view, the next due view, you don't see multiple copies of each one. You simply see when it's next due. Now to enter a service, we've just changed the oil on this aircraft, say, and I changed it on June, actually it was May 28th, and then I make a logbook entry. So there's my logbook entry, and we will log this new service now. So that shows how we would do an oil change. Notice now that it's saying that the oil was changed at 11:05 on May 28th, and it will be due in another 25 hours. So that's the way scheduled maintenance works. You can print these services for entering the logbooks. For example, let's do this. Look at historical. This is the oil change we just completed. We could update the entry if we made a spelling mistake, which I did, but we won't worry about that. Or we can print the log entry, and this shows the printed log entry. You could put that on label and sign it, and then affix it in the logbook. Interesting. Also, it suggests the next. The logbook entry suggests when it will next be due. So that's pretty much the idea behind the scheduled maintenance. Let's quit that now, and let's go into corrective maintenance. Now, corrective maintenance is a little simpler. It doesn't require any setup, and it is merely like a logbook entry. You can see here that let's look at this ELT installation. So we say we reinstalled the ELT after repairs at AMPro, and then I say I inspected the ELT in accordance with the instructions, and I can make these logbooks entries a little longer if they need to be. So that was done October 24th, 2014, and we could update it if we'd made mistakes, but we don't need to. So all of these things, this is just exactly what you're expecting from a logbook. Now, if you want to make a new entry, you just click on this, type in your new entry, set the dates, who did it, tack time, and enter the new service. So that's enough on corrective maintenance. But what I also want to show you now is the logbook, the reports actually, which include logbook entries. So if I say Reports Logbook View, and if I select the airframe, and then I can select the date of the first entry and the date of the last entry. Now, the default values here go back as far as there are entries in the system, and they go to the most recent entry, which we made a few minutes ago, was an oil change. So what we want to do now is print the selected range of logbook entries, and we're going to print for the airframe. So here we go with this. So I'll make this a little smaller so that you can't see it, but you can't see it all of it. And you can see that we have 2006 is the oldest logbook entry, replaced an air filter. 2010, 2013 logbook entries in 2014, and finally the reinstallation of the ELT system in 2014. So that provides you logbook entries. You can print all of them, or you can print just a date range, whatever serves your purposes. Let's look at the front engine. Now, the other thing I'd like to do is I'd like to show you the full reports, the AD full report log entries. So this is a little more interesting. In the AD tutorial, we showed this report, but the information was, there wasn't really any realistic information that had been entered into the system. So on this aircraft there is realistic information, and so we're saying 1 AD needs research, 0 ADs need compliance, 0 ADs need log entry, 21 one-time ADs have been complied with, and 3 ADs need future compliance. So what we have is then a listing of each of the types of ADs. The one that needs research is the ignition switch AD, and then next is shown a table of ADs that have previously had compliance completed for the airframe, and then engine ADs that have previously had compliance completed. And then same thing for the propeller, one-time ADs having previously completed. And then at the bottom we have recurring ADs which will need future compliance. So these ADs are shown, you know, when the compliance will need to be done in the future, and so that's the summary of airworthiness directives reports. So to review, what we've done here is we've looked at the scheduled maintenance and the corrective maintenance, and we've looked at the reports. You can get logbook views of any period of time you need, and you can get a full airworthiness directive report. Finally, the last thing as an afterthought that I'd like to show you is the FAA, as you know, requires inspection authorized mechanics to have access to certain data, including advisory circulars, the FARs, and so this is really just a set of links that will open FAA pages on the internet for that provide you access to the required data. So with that, I think that's the end of tutorial on maintenance and reports and the libraries. I hope you've enjoyed it and that it will help you use the program. There are options for free and also charged subscriptions. And if you have any questions, go ahead and visit aircraft-inspection-software.com, and at that place you can see these the rest of the videos, or you can get the user's guide.